Guys, we're getting this thing out of the way. I can't do this. It's not going to be a thing tonight. Okay, so here's the deal. I'm here, and there's no kids, so this is already the best nut I've had in ages. Heads up. So I never actually wanted to be a parent, ever. I'm not one of those people that had that maternal thing, like, oh, I want to have 1,000 kids when I grow up. No, that was not me. I was the oldest of 5 kids. And as it turns out, when you have a lot of kids, people constantly are asking you, do you want to have a big family like your parents did? My answer was always no. They should have stopped while they were ahead. I should have been an only child. No dice. I was not. I wanted to live in a loft and have, live in a big city and have a big high-powered career. It's not how the story's going to end, you guys. It's not how it's going to end. So when I met my husband, he made it very clear he wanted kids yesterday. So we were going to start having children fairly soon. I made him wait for about a year before I consented to thinking about having maybe one. Maybe we'll think about it. And it took us about a year to get pregnant, which was okay with me. At the time, we lived in Germany. He was stationed there in the Army, and it was amazing. We were traveling all over Europe. We were having a blast. And by the time we did get pregnant, about a year later, it was okay. I was like, okay, we can maybe settle into this. I'm all right with it. I started, searching Pinterest for Harry Potter nurseries, and we were looking into, who had the best OB in the area. I was quizzing all my girlfriends, and I had made my appointment, and the day before my 8-week appointment, I started bleeding and having some pain, and by the time I got there the next day, I knew before they even told me there was no baby. That wasn't going to happen for me. I was a little upset, notably, but I felt like I should have been sadder. I was a little taken aback that I was more mad than I was sad. I was mad that it had been taken away from me, that something that even the most despicable of humans can do, they can replicate, but I couldn't. Why can't I do that? So as it turns out, I'm fairly tenacious as a human. I don't tend to let things go, and this was no different. I started to do, we did some testing and found out that I have a rather aggressive autoimmune disorder that would always make it very difficult for me to get pregnant and then carry a baby in both separate sections. But regardless, I basically said, okay, no, we're gonna try. So pumped me full of hormones, did shots, did all that jazz, all the things that they do, and no dice. 2 years later, still no babies. We were headed back to the US, and we knew we were coming back to Iowa, so I started doing some research and found out that foster care was gonna be an option for us. We didn't have the money to adopt privately, so that was kind of out, but foster care we could do. So we got back. Within 2 weeks, we had an appointment with the foster care people, and within 6 months, we had already done our classes, our home study, and we were certified. We were in, we were gonna be a family. It was gonna be great. So we met our first foster placement actually in the lobby of the blank emergency room, because that's where you meet foster placements, as it turns out. They were in clothes that were too small, that were dirty, they had lice. They had a trash bag full of toys and books. That's it. That's all they had. So we brought them home, gave them baths, and tucked them into bed, and we were parents, so kind of. And throughout the next couple of months, we navigated what was the foster system, is the foster system today. It's a little bit tricky because there are a lot of people involved in foster care. There are a lot of entities involved in foster care. At the very tippy top, you have the judges. They make the ultimate end-all decisions on what's going to happen in foster care. Then below them, you have the guardian ad litems. Those are the attorneys for kids. Below them, you have foster care workers, you have DHS, you have transportation workers, you have therapists, you have teachers, you have birth parents, and then at the very bottom, you have foster parents. These kids that you've taken into your home and loved and put your energy into, and I couldn't take them to get a haircut without written permission. I couldn't sign a permission form to go on a field trip. I couldn't take them to Monkey Joe's because I couldn't sign a liability waiver. For me, this wasn't being a parent, it was being a babysitter. And at the end of the day, it took a little bit for me to realize that that is what I wanted. I wanted to be a parent. And I'm not knocking foster care in any way, because I think someday we'll probably go back to that and do it again. But at this time, we really wanted to build our family. So we knew that when these kids were headed to go and stay with extended family, that was their permanent placement. We knew we weren't going to foster again. At least I did for a while. So we looked into foster care adoption, which is more along the lines of what I was looking to do. And I don't know if you guys have ever seen foster care adoption websites, but they're a little bit like dating websites. They're a little bit horrifying. You've got these kids all lined up, just like a dating website, and there's their name and their age. Billy's 9, and he likes to ride his bike, and he wants to live in the country with a family that plays games. That's what they look like. They're like, swipe right on your future kid, So I had signed up to get an automatic email notification if any kids came available in Iowa. And all of a sudden, bing, one day on my email, I get this email of this little girl. She is so cute. She's got this curly black hair and big brown eyes, totally naughty looking. You can tell by her face. You know how they are. And I quick emailed that worker back, and I was like, hey, yes, we love her. This is our stuff. This is us. What do you think? And she, first of all, emailed back and said, oh, that was quick. It was 3 minutes after they posted this thing. It was very brief. And she said, yes, absolutely, we really like you guys. We're going to add you to our list of considerable families that we like. Also, she comes with a 9-month-old little sister. Are you still interested? And I said, well, buy one, get one free, I guess. Sure, I guess we'll just go for it. That'll work. Well, sure. So a few weeks later, we were invited to Eastern Iowa to do our interview to be considered for the girls. We found out that we were one of 3 families among 70 that were chosen to be considered for these kids. And we get there, and they're asking us questions like, what are your disciplinary strategies? What neighborhood do you live in? They're half black. Can you do their hair? Can you, so we're like, oh, God, maybe. We'll look up on YouTube. I don't know. I guess, hopefully. And we left thinking ooh, okay, well, hopefully they liked us. We can't really say anything more. This is who we are, so best of luck. And we got home. The next day, my husband was off getting Taco John's or something, and I get a phone call, and they said, are you ready to be parents? Guess what? We got that! That was so great! And Jay came in, I'm pretty sure he dropped the Taco John's. It was very exciting, but we met him a couple of days later, and we met our kids, Kate and Evie, in a McDonald's in the middle of nowhere. I think it was in the middle of Newton or something. It was terrible. But we bought some French fries and ice cream, got a table in the play place, and we met our kids. They brought them in. They were so cute. And Evie's just this teeny tiny little thing. She's 9 months old. She just snuggled. Pretty sure Caitlin didn't speak to us the entire time. She was off playing in the play place, had absolutely no interest in us whatsoever. And then over the next few weeks, they introduced us more. We went on play dates. We'd go and paint pottery or spend the day going to an amusement park, whatever. And eventually, about 3 weeks later, they moved in. I was having a hard time after they moved in. Pardon me, my Petri dishes gave me something, heads up. So I was, I was having a hard time. It turns out that post-adoption depression is a very real thing that most people don't know about. I was having a hard time connecting, particularly with my oldest, Kate. And to this day, seriously, 2 years later, we still have a hard time sometimes. Truly imagine for a second, meeting your kid at 4.5. You don't know what their life is like. You don't know what experience they've had. You don't know anything that's happened in their life. You don't know what kind of disciplinary strategies were used with them. You don't know what their medical history is. You don't know if they've ever even had a surgery. You don't know anything about your kids. And that's what we were dealing with. This kid came to us at 4.5, and we were trying to integrate her into our lives. Some days it was awesome, and some days it was not. So we started moving toward a family, doing the best we could. I was not feeling super great. I didn't know if it was partially the depression stuff or it was just she had started preschool and I wasn't feeling so good. Turns out I was pregnant. Yep, pregnant. I was one of those people. You know how they always say it always happens, you adopt and then you get pregnant? I was one of those guys, as it turns out. So I was pregnant. I was pissed. I did not want to be pregnant. Seriously, I tried this so long to get friggin' pregnant and I didn't get pregnant for real. 3 months earlier, no, okay. So I pretty much like blocked it out. I was like, okay, I'll stop eating sushi and stop drinking, but other than that, I'm pretending it's not happening right now because I can't deal with this. So things were a little rough. I made my Facebook announcement like you do, like all millennials do because we're very cool like that. And made it and posted it, you know, at my end of trimester mark, whatever. The next day we get a call from my foster care worker, and we love her to death. She's so great, but we don't often get calls from her without reason. So she gave us a call and she said, hey, do you have a second to chat? I said, why? She's like, just go in the room, Kate's not in. I said, okay, sure, I can do that. She says, Kate and Evie's birth mom just had a baby. He was born addicted to drugs and we need to place him somewhere. Will you take him? He's 5 days old. And I said, okay, I'm pregnant. And she said, you shut the front door. No, that's for real. That's really for real. That actually happened. And it took us a couple of minutes. We chatted, but we couldn't split him up. I knew we couldn't split him up. What was I going to do? Send him off to somebody else? Like, no, that wasn't going to happen. So we went to Cheesecake Factory that night because we do that. We actually had a sitter. It was our anniversary anyway, so we were like, oh yes, we're going to go do this because now we're freaking out. And I met him a couple of days later, and he came home. He was fine. And that's how you become a mom of 4 in less than a year, as it turns out. This all happened in 9 months. 9 months of time from beginning to end. So there's no more children. There's just 4. We're good. We're not going to have more. Though people ask me often, are you going to have more? And my answer is, I'm never answering that again because they keep giving me more every time I say no. So I'm not answering anymore. But the moral of the story of this is, one, don't ever give up on what you've decided you're going to have happen to you. Ever. Because had I chosen to be like, you know what, this miscarriage is a sign that I'm not going to have kids, I wouldn't be where I am. I wouldn't have the kids that I have. And frankly, had I even had 1 kid before I had the rest of these kids, I wouldn't have the life that I have, not even by a long shot. My kids have given me humility and humbleness and patience. And actually, maybe I need some more patience still, but we're working on that. And it's never easy, but it's always worth it. So the other day, we were driving downtown. We live just south of downtown, and Kate, my oldest, is 6 now, and she saw out the window. She's like, "Oh, Mom, that's the courthouse. That's where we got adopted." And I said, "That is where you got adopted, yes. You and Evie and Archer, yeah." And she's like, "Oh, but Mom, I'm pretty sure we should take Rowie, the baby, to be adopted too." He came out of my tummy, he doesn't have to be adopted. Maybe we should, just in case. Thank you, you guys, that's it.